Picture this. You're 35 years old, scrolling through Instagram, watching some trust fund baby show off their new Tesla, while you're over here trying to figure out if you should contribute to your 401k or max out a Roth IRA first. Meanwhile, 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, according to a 2023 CNBC survey, and you're wondering if retirement planning even matters when you can barely afford your overpriced oat milk latte. Well, guess what? The difference between choosing the right retirement account first could literally mean the difference between retiring at 60 with dignity or working at Walmart as a greeter at 75, asking yourself where it all went wrong. And before you click away thinking this is another boring finance video, I'm about to show you exactly how a simple decision in 2025 could mean an extra $743,000 in your pocket by retirement. Yeah, you heard that right. $750,000. All because you watched this video instead of another day in my life as a 23-year-old making $250K TikTok. What's good, future millionaires? Ryan here from Ryan Invest. But before we dive into this retirement account showdown, do me a solid. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like if you want to see more content that actually makes you money, and drop a comment with your worst financial mistake so I can roast you in the next video. Trust me, I've seen it all, and your story about buying AMC at $72 needs to be heard. Now, unlike those crusty financial advisors charging you 1% to underperform the S&P 500, I'm about to break down the real math that determines whether you should max your 401k or Roth IRA first in 2025. No BS, no hidden agenda, just straight facts backed by actual data from the IRS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and my own portfolio that's been crushing it since before crypto bros discovered leverage trading. Let's get real for a second. According to the Federal Reserve's 2024 Economic Well-Being Report, the median retirement account balance for Americans aged 35 to 44 is a pathetic $40,000. That's not even enough to cover a medical emergency, let alone 30 years of retirement. Meanwhile, these same people are out here financing $50,000 SUVs at 8% interest rates, wondering why they're broke. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. The average American is absolutely effed when it comes to retirement. Social Security? That glorified Ponzi scheme is projected to cut benefits by 23% in 2033, according to the Social Security Trustees Report. Your company pension? What pension? This isn't 1975, Grandpa. The only thing standing between you and eating cat food in retirement is your ability to invest smart right now. But here's where it gets interesting. In 2025, you've got two main tax-advantaged weapons in your arsenal, the 401k and the Roth IRA. The contribution limits just got bumped up. We're talking $23,500 for 401ks and $7,000 for Roth IRAs if you're under 50. That's $30,500 total you could be sheltering from taxes every single year. But most people can't max both, so the million-dollar question becomes, which one do you prioritize? Let's start with the 401k because it's what every corporate Chad thinks they understand, but actually doesn't. A traditional 401k is what we call a tax-deferred account. You put money in pre-tax, it grows tax-free, but then Uncle Sam comes for his cut when you withdraw in retirement. Think of it like a deal with the devil. He'll leave you alone now, but he's coming for that ass later. Here's the math that'll blow your mind. Let's say you're making $75,000 a year, right around the median household income according to the U.S. Census Bureau. You're in the 22% federal tax bracket for 2025, plus let's say 5% state tax because you live in some mediocre state like Pennsylvania. That's 27% total going to taxes. If you contribute $10,000 to your traditional 401k, you save $2,700 in taxes this year. That's $225 per month back in your pocket. For someone living paycheck to paycheck, that's literally the difference between making rent or not. But here's what Budget Karen doesn't understand. You're not avoiding taxes, you're just postponing them. Now, the real gangster move with 401ks is the employer match. According to Vanguard's 2024 How America Saves report, the average employer match is 4.8% of salary. On that $75,000 income, that's $3,600 of free money every year. That's literally your boss saying, here's an extra $300 per month, please don't be poor in retirement. And yet 33% of eligible employees don't even contribute enough to get the full match. These are the same people complaining they can't get ahead. Brother, you're literally leaving money on the table. Let me break this down even further because I know some of you failed high school math. If you contribute $5,000 to get your full $3,600 match, that's an instant 72% return on investment. Where else are you getting 72% guaranteed returns? Nowhere. Not Bitcoin, not Tesla stock, not your buddy's dropshipping course. Nowhere. Now here's the catch that nobody talks about. When you retire and start pulling from that 401k, every single dollar is taxed as ordinary income. So if you built up a nice $2 million nest egg and you're withdrawing $80,000 a year in retirement, guess what? You're paying taxes on all $80,000. And if tax rates go up, which looking at our $34 trillion national debt, they probably will, you could be paying more in taxes in retirement than you're saving now. Now let's talk about the Roth IRA, the account that makes traditional financial advisors sweat harder than a crypto bro during a market crash. With a Roth, you pay taxes on the money now, but then it grows completely tax-free and you withdraw it tax-free in retirement. It's literally the opposite of a 401k. Here's where the math gets spicy. Using that same $75,000 income example, if you put $7,000 into a Roth IRA, you're using after-tax dollars. So you actually need to earn about $9,589 pre-tax to have $7,000 after that 27% tax hit. That hurts now, right? That's why broke people avoid Roths like they avoid books. But check this out. According to historical S&P 500 data from NYU Stern School of Business, the market has averaged about 10.5% annual returns over the last 30 years. Let's be conservative and say 8% after inflation. That's $7,000 invested at age 30 becomes $103,000 by age 65. In a traditional account, you'd owe taxes on $96,000 of gains. At just a 22% tax rate, that's $21,120 in taxes. In a Roth, zero. Zilch. Nada. But wait, it gets better. Roth IRAs have no required minimum distributions. Traditional 401ks force you to start withdrawing at age 73, whether you need the money or not. The IRS wants their cut, and they're not waiting forever. With a Roth, you could literally never touch it and pass the entire thing tax-free to your kids. That's generational wealth, baby. Here's a mind-blowing stat from the Investment Company Institute. Only 33% of U.S. households owned an IRA in 2023, and only 26% contributed to one. That means 74% of Americans are missing out on the single best tax shelter available to the middle class. These are the same people who will complain about taxes while doing nothing to legally reduce them. Now here's where things get controversial and why your boomer parents' advice is probably trash. Roth IRA have income limits that will knock you out faster than Mike Tyson in his prime. For 2025, if you're single making over $161,000 or married making over $240,000, you can't contribute directly to a Roth. The IRS basically said, sorry, rich boy, this tax break isn't for you. But guess what? There's a loophole so big you could drive a Cybertruck through it. It's called the backdoor Roth conversion, and it's completely legal, despite sounding like something from a money laundering scheme. You contribute to a traditional IRA with after-tax dollars, then immediately convert it to a Roth. Boom! Income limits bypassed. The IRS knows about it, Congress knows about it, and they've done nothing to stop it because guess who uses it? That's right, the wealthy donors who fund their campaigns. Meanwhile, Paycheck Pete making $55,000 a year has never even heard of a backdoor Roth because his HR department sure as hell isn't explaining it during those mind-numbing benefits meetings. This is exactly why the wealth gap keeps growing. It's not just about making more money, it's about knowing the rules of the game. All right, let's do what every other financial YouTuber is too lazy to do. Show you the actual numbers. We're going to compare 3 scenarios using real tax brackets, real contribution limits, and realistic return assumptions. Scenario 1, the 401k maximizer. Age 25, earning $75,000, contributes $15,000 per year to 401k, gets $3,600 employer match, 8% annual returns, current tax bracket 22%, retirement tax bracket 18%. After 40 years, total contributions $600,000, employer match $144,000, account value $4,237,000, after tax value at 18%, $3,474,340. Scenario 2, the Roth IRA first. Same person, same income, maxes Roth at $7,000 per year first, puts the remaining $8,000 in 401k, still gets match, same returns and tax assumptions. After 40 years, Roth value $1,976,000, all tax-free. 401k value $2,393,000. After tax total, $3,938,940. Scenario 3, the hybrid optimizer. Gets full employer match first, $5,000 to 401k, maxes Roth IRA at $7,000, puts remaining $3,000 in 401k. After 40 years, Roth value $1,276,000, 401k value $2,261,000, after tax total $3,830,020. Look at those numbers. The pure 401k approach actually loses to the Roth first strategy by almost $465,000. That's literally a house, a nice house, in a good neighborhood, all because you understood tax diversification. But here's what the spreadsheet warriors miss. Life isn't a spreadsheet. You know what happens in real life? You get laid off at 45 and need to tap your retirement accounts. With a 401k, you're paying taxes plus a 10% early withdrawal penalty. With a Roth IRA, you can withdraw your contributions, not earnings, at any time, tax and penalty free. That flexibility is worth its weight in Bitcoin. Let's talk about something nobody wants to admit. Most people are... The average American spends 5 hours and 24 minutes on their phone daily, according to Data Reportal. That's 37.8 hours per week. You're telling me you can't spend 30 minutes setting up automatic retirement contributions? This is why some people retire rich and others retire broke. It's not about income, it's about priorities. Now, let's talk about what's actually changing in 2025 that makes this decision even more critical. The IRS just announced the new contribution limits and tax brackets, and if you're not paying attention, you're already behind. First, 401k contribution limits jumped to $23,500, up from $23,000. That extra $500 might not sound like much, but invested over 30 years at 8%, that's an extra $5,000 in retirement. Roth IRA limits increased to $7,000 from $6,500 for those under 50. If you're over 50, you get catch-up contributions, $31,000 for 401ks and $8,000 for Roth IRAs. The income phase-out for Roth IRAs also increased. Single filers start phasing out at $146,000, up from $138,000, and completely phase out at $161,000. For married couples filing jointly, it's $230,000 to $240,000. This means more high earners can contribute to Roth IRAs directly without needing the backdoor method. But here's the kicker that nobody's talking about. The standard deduction for 2025 is $15,000 for single filers and $30,000 for married filing jointly. Combined with these retirement account contributions, a married couple could shelter $61,000 from taxes legally. That's more than the median household income. Yet most Americans will maybe contribute 3% to their 401k and call it a day. The tax brackets also shifted up about 2.5% for inflation. The 22% bracket now goes up to $47,150 for singles, meaning if you're making less than that, your effective tax rate is even lower, making the Roth IRA an absolute no-brainer. You're basically locking in historically low tax rates forever. All right, that's part one wrapped up. In part two, we're diving into the advanced strategies that'll really separate you from the average broke retirement planner. We're talking mega backdoor Roths, the pro rata rule that'll screw you if you don't know about it, and the exact age-based framework I use to determine which account to prioritize based on your specific situation. If you're serious about not being broke in retirement, hit that notification bell because part two is going to change everything you thought you knew about retirement planning. And remember, drop your worst money mistake in the comments so I can roast you in the next video. Peace out, future millionaires.
We covered the basics in part one, the 401k versus Roth IRA debate, why the employer match is the best free lunch on planet Earth, and how a Roth can turn a $7,000 contribution into a tax-free goldmine. If you haven't watched that, stop. Go watch. This whole thing only makes sense if you've already grasped the simple math. Got it? Good. Now, let's move beyond the one-size-fits-all advice you get from financial bloggers who still think saving is for suckers. We're going to break down the exact strategy based on income brackets, age, and the kind of tax shenanigans you can pull in 2025. First, let's talk about the income bracket decision matrix. The IRS didn't create these rules to punish you. They set them up to reward savers and punish broke people. So here's the quick guide. If you're pulling in under $50K a year, you're in the 12% federal bracket, maybe 0% state. At this level, the cost of a Roth contribution is tiny. You're paying today's low tax rate to lock in forever tax-free growth. Imagine a $1,000 contribution at a 12% tax hit, $120 now, versus letting that $1,000 sit in a taxable account and watching the government take a 30% bite when you finally pull it out in retirement. That's a loss of about $180 per $1,000 invested. Doesn't sound like much, but over 40 years, those little losses compound into a massive chunk of your retirement pie. So for everyone making less than $50K a year, the rule is crystal clear. Max your Roth IRA first. Forget the 401K if you can't get the match. Focus on that tax-free compounding machine. Now, if you're in the 50K to 80K range, welcome to Salary Steve territory. Here's the kicker. You still qualify for a Roth, but you're also eligible for an employer match on your 401K. The average match in 2025 is about 4.8% of your salary, according to Vanguard's 2024 How America Saves report. That's a guaranteed 100% plus return on the first $5,000 you contribute. So the smart move is simple. Put just enough into your 401k to capture the full match, usually 5 to 6% of your income. Then every remaining dollar goes straight to the Roth IRA. You're getting free money from your boss, then building a tax-free nest egg. The math is a no-brainer. Now, if you're clearing 80K to 120K, welcome to Taxman Tyler country. You're now in the 22 to 24% tax bracket, and the Roth contribution starts to feel a little pricey because you're paying a higher tax today. But that's the point. The government is betting that tax rates will rise, so paying a lower rate now is like buying a future tax break lottery ticket. In this bracket, the optimal order is, first, max the 401k to get the deduction. Take that $23,500 contribution cap and live the tax-free deduction life. After that, max the Roth. Yes, you'll be paying 24% now, but you'll thank yourself when you're withdrawing $150K a year in retirement without a single cent going to Uncle Sam. The Roth's no required minimum distribution rule means you can let it grow until you're 100, then pass it to your kids tax-free. That's legacy building, not just retirement. For high earners making $120K to $200K, you're in the sweet spot for the backdoor Roth conversion. The direct Roth contribution starts phasing out at $146K for singles and $230K for married filing jointly. And you can't contribute directly after $161K single or $240K married. The workaround is the backdoor Roth. Contribute to a non-deductible traditional IRA and then roll it into a Roth. It's legal, it's clean, and it's a loophole the IRS pretends not to see because every rich person uses it. Pro rata rules will bite if you have any pre-tax IRA balances, but if your only IRA is the after-tax contribution you just made, you're golden. The conversion is instant, and the growth inside the Roth is tax-free forever. So if you're above the direct Roth limit, the plan is contribute $7,000 to a traditional IRA, immediately convert it to a Roth, and then focus on maxing your 401k. That's how you turn a high tax rate salary into a tax-free retirement arsenal. Now let's talk about the mega backdoor Roth, the secret weapon for high earners who have access to an after-tax 401k contribution option. In 2025, the total employee contribution limit is $23,500, but you can add an additional $46,000 in after-tax contributions, if your plan allows. The 2025 combined limit is $69,000. Those after-tax contributions can be rolled over to a Roth IRA, essentially letting you stash up to $69,000 of your salary in a Roth each year. It's like turning your 401k into a massive Roth, something most HR departments don't advertise because it's a "you're too old to understand" thing. The steps are simple. Confirm your plan supports after-tax contributions, contribute the max, then initiate a conversion to Roth. The downside? You'll pay taxes on the earnings from the after-tax contributions at the time of conversion. But the growth is still tax-free forever. If you're in a high tax bracket now and want to lock in tax-free growth for the rest of your life, this is the move. Now, let's dive into the pro rata rule, the boogeyman that will haunt anyone who makes his pre-tax and after-tax money in any IRA.
The rule says that when you convert any part of an IRA to a Roth, the portion that's taxable is based on the ratio of pre-tax money in all of your IRAs to the total. So if you have a $10,000 traditional IRA with pre-tax money and you add a $7,000 after-tax contribution, the ratio is 10,000 divided by 10,000 plus 7,000 equals 58% taxable. That means when you convert, you'll owe tax on 58% of the $7,000 you're moving over, i.e. about $4,060 taxed as ordinary income. The cure? Keep your pre-tax IRA money separate from your after-tax contributions. Either roll your old 401k into a 401k or a new employer's plan if you're still working, or convert that pre-tax balance to a Roth in a year that you can afford the tax hit. The best practice is to keep all pre-tax IRA money in a 401k and only use the after-tax IRA for the backdoor Roth. Now let's crunch numbers with 4 real-world scenarios because math tells the truth better than any motivational speaker ever could. Scenario 1. Early 20s, 45K salary, no employer match. Emily is 23, works part-time, and lives with roommates. She can't get a match because her employer doesn't offer one. Her tax rate is about 10% federal after the standard deduction, plus 5% state for a total of 15%. She decides to max her Roth IRA at $7,000 for the year. Over 40 years, assuming an 8% real return, that $7,000 grows to $124,000, all tax-free. If she had put it in a taxable account, the same $124,000 would have been reduced by roughly 20% in capital gains taxes, leaving her with about $99,000. So by choosing the Roth, she's $25,000 richer at retirement, without ever paying a dime in taxes. That's the power of paying a low tax now and letting compounding work in a tax-free environment. Now, scenario 2, mid-30s, 75K salary, 5% match, wants to max both accounts. Jordan contributes $3,750 to the 401k to get the full $3,750 match, a 100% return. After that, he maxes his Roth IRA at $7,000. So his total yearly contribution is $10,750. Assuming an 8% return for 30 years, his Roth portion grows to $184,000. The 401k portion after the match will be worth $202,000. When he retires at 65, he'll be in a 22% tax bracket on the 401k withdrawal, leaving him with $157,560 after tax. The Roth gives him the full $184,000 tax-free. Total after-tax retirement portfolio, $341,560. If he had only maxed the 401k and contributed nothing to the Roth, his after-tax total would be about $302,000. That's a $39,650 difference, a huge boost just by adding the Roth. In scenario 3, high earner, 150K salary, no Roth eligibility, uses the backdoor Roth. Marcus can't contribute directly to a Roth due to the income phase-out. He has a $5,000 pre-tax traditional IRA from an old job. He contributes $7,000 to a new traditional IRA, then immediately rolls it over to a Roth, incurring taxes on the $5,000 pre-tax portion under the pro rata rule. Social Security. By following the strategy I've laid out, maxing the employer match, maxing the Roth, using the backdoor when needed, you're on track to retire with a portfolio that could be 2 to 3 times that average, all while minimizing taxes and maximizing flexibility. Don't be the person that watches this video, feels inspired, and then goes back to scrolling TikTok. Execute. The difference between financial freedom and working until you're 75 is the decisions you make today. So go ahead, open that Roth, increase that 401k, and set your automatic contributions. Your future self will thank you, and I'll be here next week with another roast and more money-making hacks. Until then, keep stacking, keep learning, and don't let the tax man win. Peace out.